So super exciting news. The Biden-Harris administration, along with the Department of Education, has just announced a student debt relief program. And I'm going to explain to you some of the ramifications. It's a 3-part program, and I'm going to go through each of the parts. We're going to go through some frequently asked questions. We're going to dive into some of the details to see if you qualify to have up to $20,000 of your federal student loans taken care of and forgiven and wiped out. So watch to the end. If you have a student loan, if you have any kind of student loan, or you know somebody with a student loan, you're going to want to watch to the end of this video so that you know what the program is, how you can qualify for the relief, and what you need to do to make sure that you're on track to get your student loans taken care of. My name is Paris Clough, and this is Financial Self-Reliance. I absolutely love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about a way to help you manage more money more effectively by taking a look at the new Federal Student Loan Debt Relief Act, or the debt relief plan that has been put forward by the Biden administration and the U.S. Department of Education. So let's jump over to the website. My wife has a student loan, and so we logged into hers to see what was going on. They gave me a link to this particular rundown on the Federal Student Aid Office of Administration website. I'm going to put a link in the description below to this very article as we go through it, so you're going to be able to click on it. And there's some things that you're going to want to click on as we go through here, because there's a subscription you're going to want to have to an email list from the Department of Education as they make new announcements to this. And you're going to want to take a look at the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So let's take a look at this particular program and go through some of the details here. So what the program means for you and what comes next. Again, President Biden and Vice President Harris and the U.S. Department of Education have announced a 3-part plan to help working and middle-class federal student loan borrowers transition back to regular payments as the pandemic-related support expires. So for those of you who have a student loan or know anything about student loans, that for the last almost year, we haven't had to pay on our student loans because there's been a pause on repayment plans. And so that's been a real benefit to a lot of families who didn't have to pay that, so they could use that money to pay for some of the necessities of life. It's been something that a lot of us are grateful for and have been grateful for. So making sure that we have the money that we need to do the things that we need to do has been a great boon. So let's take a look at the announcement for the Biden administration Student Loan Debt Relief Plan. Part 1. So final extension of the student loan repayment pause. So for those of you who have a student loan, you know that probably in the next, as of the recording of this video, it's August of 2022, and the student loan repayment pause that was in effect already was going to start in October, I think. And so this now extends that through the end of the year, the end of 2022, and now you can resume paying in January of 2023. So we have several more months of not having to pay if we can't afford it, so that we can be prepared. But we need to be ready, because in January it's coming back. So get your budgets ready now so that you'll be prepared and be ready for that. Now, what frequently asked questions on this part 1 is, do I need to do anything to extend my student loan pause through the end of the year? The answer to that is here, and it says no, the pause will occur automatically. So if your student loan provider or whoever services your student loan, you'll be able to log in and you'll be able to see that will extend already. You'll say next payment due, and it'll probably say somewhere in January. Whatever your payment dues are, it'll have that in January for you. So part 2, providing targeted debt relief to low and middle income families. So this is where they're going to share with you a forgiveness program where if you have a U.S. Department of Education loan that was a Pell Grant, so if you received a Pell Grant recipient, then you can have up to $20,000 in debt cancellation. And so that's actually really cool to have your debt cancellation there. So let's say you have a Pell Grant that was $25,000. They're going to cancel $20,000 of it, and you'll be left with the $5,000. So if it's a non-Pell Grant, then you can have up to $10,000 in debt cancellation. So Pell Grant recipients get up to $20,000, and non-Pell Grant recipients get up to $10,000 in debt cancellation. So that's pretty cool. In addition, borrowers who are employed by nonprofits, the military, or federal, state, tribal, or local governments may be eligible to have all of their student loan forgiven. That's even better, potentially. So you'll have to go to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Their website is pslf.gov. I'll put a link in the description below as well to this, and then you can click that and it will take you to this site here. And so if you've worked in public service in one of these things I've already, federal, state, local, tribal government, or nonprofit for 10 years or more. So it's important to remember that. You have to have worked there for 10 years or more. You may be eligible to have all your student debt canceled. And that's a limited time to receive that. So if you've served for more than 10 years, if you've not served for more than 10 years, then you might get credit towards it if it ever happens in the future, but as of now, it's not going to be available. So you must apply before October 31st, which gives you plenty of time, but no time to waste. So go ahead and click on the link in the description below. Click on this, go apply now if you have if you fall under these guidelines here. So let's go back to the website here where it talks about the 3-part plan. So let's take a look at some of the frequently asked questions regarding this new student loan forgiveness program. So the first one is, how do I know if I'm eligible for debt cancellation? So this is probably the number one question on all of our minds. To be eligible, your annual income must have fallen below $125,000 for individuals or $250,000 for married couples or heads of households. So depending on how much money you make will determine whether or not you actually get to have this debt cancellation or not. So definitely, I'm not sure if that's adjusted gross income or gross income, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be what your taxable income is. So if you received a Pell Grant in college and meet the income threshold, you'll be eligible for up to $20,000. If you did not receive a Pell Grant, you'll be eligible for up to $10,000. So the next question is, what does up to mean? Which is a great question. It means that your relief is capped at that amount. So if you have a loan that's larger than that, you're only going to get up to that. If you have a loan that's less than that, you're not going to get that $20,000 because let's say in this example here, it says if you're eligible for $20,000 in debt relief and have a balance of 15, they're not going to give you $5,000. They're basically going to pay off your $15,000 and you're good to go. And then you don't have to worry about making any more payments, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool, especially for those of us who are struggling to pay payments, or those of you that are struggling to really kind of make ends meet. This is a great opportunity for you to eliminate this debt, get that monthly payment out of your life, and move on and do something better with that money. Which, by the way, student loans, I think, are a great way to invest in your future, because especially if you're going to go to college, go to a career, and spend money in something that you're going to then do as a career, because then you're actually going to be making money from the education that you receive. So the education now becomes an investment that you're now making more money than the investment, and so you can pay that back. That's actually a really wise use of debt. So you borrow money to invest, and then you go make more money to pay that off, and then that income stream continues to go even after that debt's been paid off. And so education or student loans, in my opinion, are a good debt, especially if you use that debt wisely and get a good career and make more money because of it. Does that make sense? So anyways, what do I need to do in order to receive loan forgiveness? Well, apparently 8 million borrowers are automatically eligible because the U.S. Department of Education has their income information already. Now, I don't know how they got it. I don't know where they get it from, but I bet you the IRS and the U.S. Department of Education are going to have a little, powwow, and they're going to figure things out. But if you don't think that the U.S. Department of Education has your income or your adjusted gross income or knows what your income is, then you're definitely going to want to click on this link here and this poll right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this right here is a link. And by clicking on this, it takes you to, there's going to be an application available before the pause on federal student loan repayments ends on December 31st. So in the next couple of weeks, they're expecting to have a website where you can go and enter your information and submit information for them to be able to see if you qualify to have that. So basically, you can go over here to this subscription service, click on the federal student loan borrower updates, and then put in your email address, and then go here down to next. Oh, you have to click the box here that says you consent to your data privacy policy, and then click next, and then you subscribe to updates. And so as soon as that application, that website is available, they're going to send you obviously they're going to send you an email and a link, and then you're going to be able to go and put all your information in there to make sure that you apply for and qualify for any debt loan, or just to make sure that you qualify for the debt cancellation. So what is the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program? Again, if this is where you've worked in one of these qualifying places for 10 years or more, even if it's not consecutive, which is really cool, and you have the ability to have your whole loan forgiven. So no matter what the balance is, the whole thing can be forgiven if you've done it, if you've paid for more than 10 years. And that is what pslf.gov. That's this website over here that we talked about earlier. But remember, you got to do it before October 31st of 2022, and so that you can get in there and get qualified for that and see if you qualify. So part 3, let's jump into part 3 really fast, and then I'm going to share some insights or some thoughts that I have about this whole program. So part 3 is make the student loan system more manageable for current and future borrowers. So let's say, for example, like in my case, my wife, her student loan is just over $30,000. So if we only qualify for $10,000, then that's fantastic. I'm grateful to have a $10,000 coupon to get $10,000 off my balance, but that still means that I have $20,000 to continue to pay on. Well, maybe they'll adjust my monthly payment. Maybe they won't. Doesn't matter. Point is that I'll still have $20,000 to pay. So how is that $20,000 that I still have to pay going to be handled? Number one. Number two, what about people that don't qualify? What's going to happen to their student loans? How are their student loans going to be managed and serviced? And then 3, what about the people that are going to get loans after this process is over, or after this qualification or this program is done? what about people who are going to get student loans this year or next year or in 5 years or 10 years? What's the student loan program going to look like going forward? And that's what this part 3 is all about. So the rule requires borrowers to pay no more than 5% of their discretionary income monthly on undergraduate loans. This is down, they say, from 10%. So when you graduate and your loan comes due, you have to start making those payments. They're going to go through a process of how to repay that. One of the options is what's called an income-based loan repayment program. And income-based is probably the most popular. I would think it's the most popular. I've done any research. I don't know. Put a comment below if you know if it's the most popular one, but I would think it's the most popular. And they're going to look at your discretionary income. So discretionary income is all the money you make over your fixed costs, like your mortgage, like your food, like your rent, like your car payments. Those fixed costs that you have to pay, that basically food, shelter, and livelihood, anything over that is going to be discretionary income. And so instead of having to pay your income repayment plan being based on 10% of that amount, it's only going to be based on 5% of that amount. So it's going to lower the potential amount that you're going to have to pay each month, which is going to give you a more effective and more efficient cash flow. And so the other bullet point on this part 3 here says that it will raise the amount of income that is considered non-discretionary income and therefore is protected from repayment. So that's actually pretty cool. So in the previous bullet point, it was going to give you a discount from 10% to 5% of your discretionary income. So in this bullet point, it's going to reclassify some of the income that you have as fixed income. So what they used to consider discretionary income, they're now going to consider non-discretionary income. And so you're going to have a percent, that 5% in the first bullet point is going to be of a lower number. So let's say you make $5,000 and your discretionary income is $2,000, where you're going to pay 5% of that before. Now they're going to say, wait a minute, we don't think that your discretionary income is $2,000. We think your discretionary income is only $1,000, because an extra $1,000 of that we've reclassified as non-discretionary or required income for you to be able to live and survive and be okay. And so that's cool, because now you have to pay 5% of a smaller number. So this is actually a pretty good deal here. So then it's going to give you a loan for the next bullet point is it's going to forgive loan balances after 10 years of payments instead of 20 years for borrowers with loan balances of $12,000 or less. So don't get too excited if your loan balance is over $12,000, but if it's $12,000 or less and you've been paying for more than 10 years, you might have the opportunity to have them just wipe out the rest of it. I don't know if you've ever been at the last few months of paying off a debt or a loan, but it's really, you're like, man, I only got 6 months to go and I can pay this thing off in the next 6 months or a year. You get really excited. So to be able to have somebody come in and just say, you know what, I'm going to take care of it for you now. We're going to wipe it clean. You're good to go. And you're like, sweet. Now the next 6 months, I can take this money and I can do something better with it. And so the final bullet point here is they're going to cover the borrower's unpaid monthly interest. So what I think that means is that they're going to, under income-driven repayment plans, borrowers are not going to have to pay interest on the loan. So it's going to be basically a same as cash or a zero interest loan. I don't know that it's going to be necessarily a zero interest loan technically, because the government will probably pay your interest. But this is basically stating that you, as the person who's borrowing the money, is not going to have to pay for the interest. You're going to just pay for the principal, the balance that you actually borrowed, and that the interest that's being charged on your account is going to be taken care of some other way. So I hope that this makes sense. The 3 parts here. Part 1, obviously, the extension of the student loan. This is the part 2 is the debt cancellation. And then part 3 is what are some of the things they're going to do going forward to help maintain these loans and this stuff going forward. Okay, so let me share with you some final thoughts about what's really happening behind this particular plan from Biden and Harris and the U.S. Department of Education. So one of the things that I really like and appreciate about this plan is the fact that we can have an opportunity to have our loans canceled or forgiven. However, one of the reasons that I'm reticent to kind of fully accept or embrace this, even though it will affect my family and in a positive way financially, is that eventually there's going to be a reckoning. There's eventually going to be something that we're going to have to do to pay for this. The government receives their money from the taxes of the people. And so if the government's paying for these things, then where are they getting the money to do that? Literally from the taxes of the people. It says, so eventually, if I do save my monthly amount of money because my loan's been forgiven, will I have my taxes increase the same amount? So it's not a net gain, or it's a net loss, or there's just no gain, really no advantage to me because my taxes have gone up now to pay for the things that they paid off and reduced. So I reduce over here, but I increase over here, and I end up having it be the same at the end of the day. So that's something to really watch for. You don't want to make sure that you do want to make sure that there's social programs, there's availability to help people that are in need. but at the same time, you don't want to do it at the expense of others. You don't want to tax those people who are working to pay people who aren't working. And because eventually we're going to get to the point where people who are working aren't going to want to work because they're going to feel that that's unfair. I'd like to hear more about what you guys think about this particular plan, how it will benefit you and your family, or how you feel like it might actually cause more taxes or more problems to our economy. So put a comment below. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you feel that this is going to either impact you in a positive or negative way. And I look forward to hearing and reading your comments as I'll read them all. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you follow along, and I look forward to seeing more. If you missed my last video, you can watch it here. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel up here and check out this video that YouTube thinks you might like. Until the next time, have a great day.